Hello everyone. In this session, we are going to discuss about encapsulation. Encapsulation, also known as information hiding, is a key concept in working with objects. So as we have discussed before also that there are few features which makes object oriented programming such a useful language, and encapsulation is one of them. Now in this session we will first try to understand that what is encapsulation, and then we'll understand why do we need encapsulation, or what are the benefits of encapsulation, and then we'll discuss how do we achieve encapsulation in Java. So the very first question is, what is encapsulation? So if you are asked to define encapsulation, or if we try to define encapsulation, we can define this as encapsulation is simply combining data and behavior together in one package and hiding implementation details from the user of the object. So I'll read this again. Encapsulation is combining data and behavior in one package and hiding implementation details from the user of the object. So in this case, data is the variables that we had, instance variables that we had for our object. For example, in case we have a employee class, then name of the employee, salary of the employee. So if we have a variable name and if we have a variable salary, so these are the data, also known as instance variables. And behavior are the methods that are there in the objects. So let's say we have a method called get salary. So this is the behavior of this particular object. So what we are trying to do in encapsulation is that we are trying to combine data and behavior in one package, or I can say that we are trying to combine data and behavior in one unit, and I want to hide the implementation details from the user. So what do we mean by that? Consider for example a mobile phone. So you have a mobile phone. So whenever you have to make a call, you just click a call button and you don't know that how that call is made. You have no idea what is the code written. You just click on the call button. So the idea of encapsulation is to make an object like a black box. So whatever feature you have to use, so let's say you have to make a call, you have to send a message, you have to use any application, you just click on the buttons. You don't need to worry about that what is happening behind, what is the implementation of call, what is the implementation of sending a message. So this is what encapsulation is. Now let's take another example to understand what is this black box behavior. What do we understand by this black box behavior, or what do we understand by combining data and behavior in one unit? So let's say in an organization there are two departments, salary department and transaction department. So the salary department basically does the calculation of salary. It takes the various parameters like name of the employee, number of working days, and bonus, base salary, let's say a position, and based on these data, let's say there is a calculate salary method and there is a get salary method. This get salary method calls this calculate salary, and using this calculate salary, a salary is calculated. So this is a salary department and this is a transaction department. So the task of transaction department is just to transfer the money, the monthly salary to the employee. So it will again have name, employee account number, and it will have a method called transfer. Okay. So now in order to transfer the salary, this transaction department needs to know that what is the salary. So in order to know the salary, what the transaction department will just call get salary from the salary department. So let's say this is a salary object. You can think that I have wrapped everything in one unit. You can think this as the object, and the transaction department is communicating with this particular object. So whenever transaction department has to make the transfer, it will just ask for the salary. Transaction department is not bothered about how the salary is calculated or what is the calculation after the salary of an employee. It just bothers about the salary. So this salary department takes care of calculating the salary, having the number of working days, what is the bonus, what is the base salary. These are the headache of salary department. Transaction department just needs to know that what is the salary. So it calls the get salary method, it gets the salary, and based on that it transfers the salary to the employee department. So this salary object is a black box to this transaction object. It does not know that what is happening inside. It just knows that okay, this is an object I have to interact with. I need to get the salary. I call get salary method. How this get salary method is calculating the salary or giving me the salary is not a concern of transaction department. Now the question is, so now we know what encapsulation is. Now we know encapsulation is wrapping up of data and behavior in one unit. Now the question is, another question is, why do we need encapsulation? Why do we need to have this behavior? So in this particular thing, there are three things that's happening and that is beneficial. Let's see them one by one. The very first is control of data. So in this case, let's say final salary is the variable which is having the final salary. So which is returned by get salary method. So this final salary can be calculated in this salary object only using this method. So no other object is having access to final salary, and no other object can change the value of final salary. So this salary method has full control over this final salary data. So no other object can come and change this particular data. So this is one thing, control the data. The another benefit that comes with this only is that in case, let's say the value of final salary is incorrect. Let's say the employee receives the salary and the salary is incorrect. So in that case, we don't need to go here and there. We know that okay, this calculate salary was the one who was calculating the final salary. So the debugging will be done in this particular method only. So in case, let's say we would have done something like that we are doing half calculation here and half calculation in this transaction object. What would have happened? In that case, you will have to go and debug two different objects. So in this case, you don't have to do that. In case there is any error, you know that where the particular data was getting modified, and I need to go and check there only. So we have easy debugging. Last one is data hiding. So here I have the liberty to expose whatever data I want to expose to any other user. So let's say I keep all of these as private. So if I keep these as private, no other object can access these data. So these data will be hidden from any other objects. So in case these are not hidden, what will happen? It may happen that the other objects will try to modify them. For example, let's say let's take example of mobile. You have a call button. You don't know that how the code is done or how the things are done. So let's say there is a variable called number. Let's say there is a variable called number, and based on the number that you have dialed, the phone number that you have dialed, this particular number gets updated. So let's say there is some person who has access. Let's say your brother has access to your phone. So let's say your brother has access to your phone, and the brother does the mischief of putting this number as constant. Let's say whatever happens, irrespective of what you dialed, the number will always be dialed as XYZ. So what will happen? There will be obviously errors. So in order to avoid such situations, this is just hypothetical, even worse could be putting virus inside your phone. So in order to avoid these situations, what happens? Data is hidden. You have no idea that where this number is, and you have no idea that from where I can modify the number that you are dialing. So this is one of the reasons we do encapsulation, for data hiding. So these are the 3 benefits of encapsulation. So what happens is that when you're writing small codes when you're writing really small codes, so you don't use these oops features. But when you go on to write big applications, you have to ensure that you use these features, because again, if you are writing an object, you cannot let any other object to access or change your data. So these features are really important when you are writing applications. Now let's go on to see that how do we implement encapsulation. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we achieve encapsulation. So there are 3 mantras that you need to remember in order to achieve encapsulation. So you need to have a private data field, you need to have a public accessor method, and a public mutator method. Now what is this accessor and mutator? So whenever there is a method that only returns the particular value, that is called accessor, and mutator is someone which modifies the value as well. We'll see examples of accessor and mutator. So let's say we have an employee class, employee object. Employee will have name, will have calculate salary, and will have get salary. So okay, this is name and salary. So now the very first thing is that a private data field. Now I don't want that this name and salary should be accessible by anyone else. So what will I do? I'll make them as private. So let's try to write down this class. So I will have a private name, and private salary. Now the question is, if this is private, then how will someone access it? So for someone to access it, I create a public accessor. So I write public get salary. Okay, public int get salary. So what is this? This is an accessor. It will do nothing but just return salary. So it will return salary. Similarly, for name we will have public string get name return name. So now I'll again repeat why we are doing this. I could have directly did this as public string name, and anyone who wants to get the name can get the name. But here I have done this private and I have written a public method to get this name. Why have I done this? We have done this because we don't want anyone else to come and modify this name. So if this is public, anyone can simply do the modification of name. So anyone can just do create an object. Let's say anyone can create an object of employee and do something like that. Employee.name is equal to this particular value. What happening here is that I have made this private. So this is not possible. And in case anyone wants to get the name, the person has to call the get name method. So this employee class has the complete control over this name data. This can be changed only by the employee class. Now let's say I want to create a mutator method salary which modifies the salary. So let's say I have public int cal salary. Let's say it returns 500 into salary. So again this is public. So someone else, let's say someone else wants to calculate the salary. So in that case what will happen? the other object will just call employee.calculate salary, and the salary will be calculated. Again, the salary is getting modified, but it is getting modified by the employee object only. The other object is just calling this method. Whatever modification has to be done is still in control of employee object. So this is how we achieve encapsulation. So my motive in encapsulation is to hide my data and have full control over my data. So here what's happening, we have a private method, we have private data, and we have public methods. So we are in our control. Whatever we want to give it to the outer world, we keep them inside a public method. So this is how we achieve encapsulation, and this is what encapsulation is.